Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I have a surprise for you. I'm hopping on my Discipline Priest. It's been a while since you guys have seen Xaryus in action, and I've been reading the comments. Some people have been, where is Xaryus at? Where is your priest at? Have you been playing any of your priests? Well, here it is. Today I'm playing my priest with Naj and Floormat. These guys are absolute legends at RMP, and they asked me to play on my priest, and I was like, you know what? Abso-freaking-lutely, I'm going to play with you. But right away, guys, I haven't played my priest in a while. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. I'm a little bit rusty. But we had some fun. I played for about maybe 5 hours, maybe 5 or 6 hours yesterday of RMP, and we actually did pretty well. We were around 2300 MMR for most of it, and that's pretty good for this early in the season. We're fighting an Arms Warrior, Fire Mage, and a Holy Paladin. We are playing Sub-Frost Discipline Priest, just to kind of set you guys up for what's going on here before I play. But we're in Dalaran Arena. We're going for kidney shots into Sheeps, into Fears, something like that. We got the Trinket from the Mage and the Warrior there in the opener, and I'm going to be looking to play very offensively with damage, with Dispels, but also avoiding this Polymorph. And what I want to rewind this actually to show you guys kind of just what happened here. So the Mage is casting Polymorph. I have Shadow Word Death, aka Premonition. He's casting the Polymorphs. He wants to fake me. I don't want to get faked, right? I want to actually Premonition that Polymorph. So he's fake casting. He's fake casting again there. He gets stunned. He's fake casting. And then I actually do get that death on the Polymorph. And that's good, right? We want to break that CC chain up onto me. Now I get Hammer of Justice. Paladin now going into that full Polymorph. I get Ring of Frost and I throw out that Pain Suppression on my Mage. Now this Pain Suppression is because, well, one, I'm stunned, and it's good to use it while stunned because you don't have to use a trinket in Pain Suppression. You can just use that Pain Suppression. But two, it's his Icy Veins. I want my Mage to stay very offensive during his time to play offensive, during that Icy Veins cooldown. And we have CC, the Warrior's blinded, the Pally's sheeped, the Mage is taking a ton of damage. Perfect pain stuff. I really like using cooldowns to keep my teammates offensive. Now I throw out the Fear onto the Paladin. He Trinket stacks immediately onto the Mage, and I was going to get ready for that Mass Dispel, but that Mass Dispel wasn't quite needed because the Sacrifice came out instead. Going for the Mass Dispel on the Paladin's bubble as well, but my Mage needs some heals, so I throw out some shields. This is going to be my Rapture, my Penance, letting that Poly sit for just a second, and I'm throwing out a ton of shields out onto my Mage and onto my Rogue. The Paladin actually sacks right there on that Polymorph. That's going to be the second sack from the Paladin. No more Paladin immunities. Paladin has no trinket, Mage has no trinket. I think Mage still might have that ice block, and Paladin still has that bubble, so we haven't won quite yet. We still have a lot of defensive cooldowns. My Mage still has 2 ice blocks. We still have my trinket, Archangel. So again, definitely do okay here. Polymorph is being casted onto me. Now there's that Dragon's Breath into that Polymorph, and it does get interrupted, so good job by my team. And I'm pretty much calling, I'm going to pause this video and kind of talk about our communication for just a little bit, because communication is so key, guys. I'm calling out, I have death, or I don't have death, almost every second, right? Like Mage is casting Poly, I don't have death, so they know to kick it. If Mage is casting Poly and I do have death, I'll be like, Mage is casting Poly, I can death this one, so they know not to kick it, and then I can death. So that's the communication that we want to have. That's why we're not getting CC'd too much. That Ring of Frost coming out, Blood Elf Silence It, Kidney Shot on the Pally, Cheap Shots all around on the Warrior and the Mage. We're going for a Fear off onto the Paladin, get that full Fear. Paladin does bubble, not quite going to get that Master Spell off. I use my death there, and I probably told my teammate, use death, don't have death, make sure to stop Poly. Boom, Polys have been stomped. That's a Spell Reflect coming out from the Warrior, Dragon's Breath, Ring of Frost coming out from the Mage, and I am going to actually eat some CC here for pretty much the first time this game, and the Mage is forced into that ice block. So it could have been my trinket, it could have been his block. Since he hasn't used a block yet, we'll throw out his block first, we'll trinket in between during hypothermia, and then we still have another block. So that's going to be kind of our defensive rotation. Paladin going to that full Polymorph, and now Mage blocks at full HP, which I don't mind at all. That's actually a good block by him. He does come out, though, the Polymorph into the Fear, or the Polymorph into the Repolymorph into the Fear under the Paladin. Huge CC chain. Now, Mage is taking a bunch of damage. We're 1 CC chain away from really winning this game. We still have some defensives left as well, so we're definitely ahead here. Full Kidney Shot comes out on the Mage. I have no Fear available for 16 seconds. There's no Sheep DR for another 5 on this Paladin, but this Mage is taking a ton of damage. He does Trinket. There's a Cheap Shot onto the Paladin. And the Mage just goes down, actually, in that Cheap Shot. So I'm going to rewind that real quick. That was not much CC onto the Paladin. We just got a ton of damage off the Kidney Shot onto the Mage. Re-Cheap Shot onto the Paladin. Dispel the Divine Favor. Mage goes down just like that. So not a bad matchup there. I think we were probably pretty favored here in the game. Here's the damage breakdown. Both mages doing about the same damage, which is kind of expected here. Warrior out-damaging the Rogue, but that Rogue brings so much control to the matchup, and that's really where we came ahead. All right, guys, so in this next game, we're on Black Rare Cold Arena. We're playing Disc Frost Sub. Once again, no spec changes. So with RMP, guys, you can play Arcane Assass, you can play Arcane Sub, you can play Outlaw Frost, you can play Sub Frost. There's so many iterations of RMP. You can play Fire Assass as well. So many iterations, but this is what we're playing this time. I actually do get sapped, which is a little unfortunate. Should have probably premonitioned that sap there, but regardless, we get a pretty solid opener. Rogue's just kind of babysitting me. Paladin goes into that kidney shot. Cheap shots out on the Destruction Warlock, and we can kill really anything as RMP. Like, that's the thing. A lot of people in the comments might be like, how do you know what the kill, or what's the kill target here in the situation? I'm just going to pause to explain real quick, guys. Anything can die based on two things, mainly. Cooldowns and positioning. The cooldowns are the trinkets, the bubbles, the walls, and the positioning is how far they're overextended or how far they're coming into our team. Look at both of those things. That is going to really decide who we want to kill. But if all things are equal, all cooldowns are equal, all positioning is equal, Warlock's probably the target that we want to go on. But we can always swap it up, so keep that in mind. There's the Vendetta coming out. Fear's being casted, tons of damage coming off, and we death the blind there. Actually, let's rewind so I can show you guys the lead up to that. All right, so Warlock is here, Rogue is here, Rogue trinkets. I'm not CC'd. They want to get some counter pressure happening. That's the Vendetta onto my mage, right? That's what we know so far here in this game. They want to CC me because it's offensive cooldowns and Rogue offensively trinketed. I know CC is coming, whether that's Coil, whether that's Hajj, whether that's Blind, we don't know yet. Pally and Warlock are out of line of sight. Rogue's kind of running into my line of sight, and I'm putting myself out of line of sight of the Rogue on purpose, so I know when the Rogue comes into my line of sight, that's his Vendetta. Of course, it's going to be a blind. Death the blind, just like that. When you kind of slow it down and explain what's going on, it makes a lot of sense. We do have to use paint suppression and ice block anyway, which is a terrible mistake on our end. We should have either used the paint suppression on higher life or use the ice block and not the paint suppression, but overlapping them is definitely not a great thing to do there. Paladin is trinket, throw the sack out onto the Warlock, throw out that triple fear. One thing I want to note, guys, Warlock is on my focus target. I can see when he's casting Fear, so I can death the Fears as well, and a really line of sight. I can also see when those big Chaos Bolts are coming in. So having that Warlock on my focus target is very, very beneficial as a healer. And then I'm looking at the Paladin to see, when we continue the CC chains with the Polys, the Fears, the Kidneys. I'm looking at my Gladius target right here, and then I have my party members here. So we can pretty much see everything. As a Disc Priest, you have to be very aware of everything that's going on. We get that Fear off that CC chain. Rogue gets feared. We dispel the Fear off the Rogue, getting a little bit of, more shields on our targets, throwing out some smites, getting some offensive pressure. And now that final sack now comes out from the enemy Paladin, and we're pretty much like 1 or 2 goes away from winning this game under the Warlock, or we can also decide to switch it up. I get full rep there. Should have death that rep, but it does break, so I get to top my mage back off. He's playing very back and defensive with me. Looks like Naj is under some pressure as well. He doesn't have any cooldown, so I actually have to save him here. Doesn't have that Cloak of Shadows available. Throwing out the Shadow Mends, throwing out the Penances, the full polymorph onto the Paladin now. Warlock getting very low. It's probably going to be the Pally's Bubble. It is the Pally's Bubble. Go for the Massive Spell. Do get feared, though. Vendetta coming out on the floor mat. This is going to be a second ice block. So this is a very back and forth game. This is a very close game. Fought these guys a ton yesterday. Won a lot, lost a lot. Getting feared a couple more times. Now here's the full blind coming out onto the Paladin. Warlock's probably in trouble here if we get that full sap or the full polymorph to follow. There's the full blind into the full sap with the double sheep shots on the DPS with that frozen orb. Chaos Bolt's being cast. I'm not sure if it's going to connect, but I don't know if it matters because Warlock's taking so much damage, and we have a half fear on the triple fear coming out on the Warlock, the Rogue, and the half fear onto the Paladin. And Warlock's probably just going to go down. He's draining life, but he does just go down there. So back and forth game. We got the death on the blind. We made a couple mistakes defensively with that overlap on paint suppression and ice block, and I did get repented once when that didn't need to happen. But here's the damage breakdown. We're actually a little bit lower rated here, so this was either earlier in the night or when we just started, but we actually ended up getting up to almost 2,300. I do believe damage breakdown. Mage, guys, is never going to be doing that much damage. Okay, that's because mages don't do that much damage. Frost mages are all about burst. They're not about that consistent pressure. The Assassin Rogue and the Destro are doing a little bit more than the mage. And then our sub-rogue, Naj, really, I don't even know if he should be doing this much damage. That's so much damage for a sub-rogue to be doing, so really just hats off to Naj for that. And then the healing, nothing too surprising there. But Fun game all around, guys. Had a ton of fun playing on my Discipline Priest yesterday. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you do, if I see a lot of thumbs up, I might upload some more Disc Priest gameplay. I have hours and hours and hours of footage, so if you guys want it, I can provide it. Guys, thumbs the video down if you did not like it, so I know not to upload any more of my Disc Priest gameplay. But I've been having a ton of fun on it. Xaryu might be back. Guys, I have a ton of alts that I play on. I play on my alt Shaman, I play on my alt Rogue, my alt... I've been playing a little bit of Roast Master too, my alt Priest, my Mage, of course, my Boomkin. Let me know what you guys want to see down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.